Thanks and welcome to our Student Journey interview series, Melanie Lupis from Sustainability Certified. Before we start, Transformed recognises the First Peoples of this nation and their ongoing connection to the culture and country. We acknowledge the First Nation peoples as the traditional owners, custodians and law keepers of the world's oldest living culture and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. We're very fortunate to have Melanie with us today. She's an award-winning designer and home energy efficiency and sustainability consultant and a NSW accredited assessor. She's also a Transformed alumni, and we're very pleased to be able to gain some insight from her journey as a student to successful energy efficiency consultant. Thanks for joining us today, Mel.
Thanks so much for having me, Kate. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Great. First off, how long have you been involved in the energy efficiency housing industry? Your bio notes that you've worked in local government as an environmental projects officer, and your primary objective there was reducing greenhouse gas emissions. You've worked in construction industry as well. Your current role is very varied and includes face-to-face interaction with homeowners as a residential scorecard assessor. So if we go back to where you started, what prompted you getting into the energy efficiency space?
Okay, so yeah, like you said, I did work early on in my career in the late 90s, early 2000s as environmental project officer. And it was in those times when nobody ever knew what a greenhouse gas emission was. So half of my job was explaining what climate change was. We've come a long way since then, which is a good thing. Then I worked, as you said, with council for 10 years. I had 4 children. That kind of drew me away from working full-time and sort of started to work for family business in construction. During my eldest children were doing their HSC and they were looking at what courses they wanted to study. I've got twin girls. They wanted to do environmental science. And I was looking at their course book and I was like, oh, that's what I started in. That's what I love. I want to, I'm jealous of them being able to study these things. It was the same time that the school strikes for climate were happening. And I really felt like I was taking the kids to the strikes, and I felt like I had something to offer in this space and I wasn't doing it. So I really felt like I had to step up and move back out of what I was doing and focus on my passion for the environment. But I decided to sort of combine the two. So energy efficiency in construction was environmental, and working construction put the two together. And I always love working in energy efficiency because it's a really easy sell. For some people, it's just about saving dollars. For other people, it's about reducing their carbon footprint. So for me, big tick for the environment, but you can help people no matter what their motivation is, I guess.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so that sort of dovetailed into my next question, which is what prompted you. But can you tell us, when you started your education to become a NSW assessor, what courses did you look at undertaking to sort of start that journey?
Yeah, so because I wanted to get back in the environmental field, I sort of started looking around and I found Transform's course, which there was a few on offer at the time. It was very early days in COVID. Transformed looked like, to me, when I looked at it, it was definitely had the most detail and was very well thought out. Just the program and the people to deal with were really good. I liked the online aspect. I liked the go at your own pace aspect, because then I could sort of juggle family and doing the course at the same time. So yeah, it really sort of ticked all those boxes. One thing for me, like you said, I've got a science degree, but that was 30 years old. I felt like my credentials really needed to be updated. So I didn't think going back to uni was the answer, because that was, a hex and, a lot of expense. I already had that degree. I really wanted to focus on one key area. And I think that by honing in on that, the Cert 4 really answered all those questions for me. So, and
that was in the Burrs Pro software days, wasn't it? Before Hero came in, or Hero was coming in at that time.
First Rate 5.
Oh, First Rate 5.
Yeah, it was First Rate 5.
That's
I have
right.
gone on to I've done the BERS Pro course as well outside of my Cert 4. But yeah, Matthew Graham was fantastic in the software training as well. So that was a really big part of it. But Michael's online videos plus all of the literature that you get, awesome. Loved
Fantastic.
it. Like being able to work online. Bit different to when I studied the first time 30 years ago. So because it's all online, right, I would just sort of go down a bit of a rabbit hole and click on, if there was a terminology mentioned, I'd just click on that word and off I'd go onto YouTube or videos. And the next thing I'm watching videos of concrete being laid, or, or the efficiency matrix guys, they've got some really good videos. So the breadth of knowledge has really changed in that time since I did my first degree. And I just felt, very fantastic to be learning again. I was very excited.
There are so many resources online. I'm an online student myself. I had 2 courses on the go at one point. What was I doing? I asked myself. But the beauty of it is that, you've got or busy or mad, I don't know the other, which one. It depends on the day. But you've got so many resources at your fingertips, and the quality of them is so good at the moment that your ability to not only absorb the different information, different perspectives, and also what we've put into the course with Matthew Graham's expertise as well, really makes it a well-rounded undertaking for anybody who also wants to sort of change their job, be in charge of their own destiny, if you like. If they're in a job they don't like, they can picture themselves in this different role because of the way the course is structured. Now, how long did that study journey take you from sort of start to finish? Because for many people it's different. Some people Zoom through it, other people more self-paced. Do you remember how long that took you, Mel?
I looked it up. So it took me 16 months. So I think it's 18 months. They recommend 18 months. And I was I'm going to finish it really fast. Christmas, New Year weighed into that. So that sort of and, kids and all that sort of stuff, that took some time out of that. And plus my ventures, like I just mentioned, over to YouTube, just get all this extra knowledge.
Yes, yep.
That sort of did slow me down a bit. But, I thought it was really achievable. Definitely, in the 18 months for anybody, and probably easily 12 if you're not, crazy like me.
So were there any particular challenges that you experienced that you had to overcome? You're a business owner, you're also a wife and mum of 4, you managed to fit study into your lifestyle. Was there any sort of roadblocks that you had to work through in particular that were difficult or challenging as an online student?
Not really. I thought the course was really well set out, that and you felt like you could just sort of tick off that sort of portion. There's a topic, right, I've got to get through these 2 submissions for that, and just sort of work through it. I'm a very organised person. I like things laid out and, check boxes all the time. So being able to work through that very simply for me was great. Just I didn't feel lost at any stage. It's just right, I'm working through this process.
And you had the study plan too that was provided?
Yes, I did. Okay. Yeah, and I printed out my study plan, and when I'd finish a submission, I'd get my highlighter and I'd cross it. And I had that on underneath my computer. So I was always motivated to do the next one because I really wanted to highlight that next topic.
It's important to celebrate the wins, isn't it? Because
absolutely,
you can get lost in sort of which module am I in? And if you spend any time away from it, when you come back, you sort of have to reacquaint yourself with where you were. And that can sort of take a little bit of time as well. But once you get that flow going and that momentum and you're crossing off and winning, I think that's a really important thing for an online student to remember, because sometimes you can be stuck in the minutiae of the modules and not really sort of look at the big picture and go, hey, you've done 3 modules, congratulations. Yep, you know, you're getting there. Because online study is quite different to being in a room and having that peer support. But one of the things that we do have in the course, which everybody takes advantage of, is the NABS Assessors Network, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But that is an excellent resource as well. That's offered to the people who do the Cert 4 course. So once you received your qualification and became your accredited NAVAS assessor, did you begin your energy consultancy business at the time, or did you start doing a bit of work for others and gain more experience before you started Sustainability Certified?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a job basically immediately when I got accredited, which was fantastic, working with a great firm, and I worked part-time with them for about 9 months. But I guess, in the end, I wanted to work for myself and bring my hubby along for the journey, and then potentially my twin daughters in the future, who knows, maybe not. We started up Sustainability Certified sort of after that.
That's a great business name, I have to say. It is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Yes. It's difficult to say, to name a business, but
yeah, I would. Yes, I wouldn't choose that again if I had my time over, because the email address is ridiculous. How many A's and I's have I got in there?
Yes, yes. I bet you get a few spelling errors when you're typing out certified. Yeah, So, taking us now through a typical day with you, what tasks take up the most time on a typical day as an energy consultant?
I'm really lucky because I did the residential scorecard as well. So I've got some time out of the office going into people's existing homes and doing assessments. And I think you guys offer the intro to
yes, we do.
That course as well. My hubby's doing that. Oh, he's finished that now.
Hell, yes, excellent.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm out on site, and then sometimes I'm doing assessments with the software. Sometimes I'm speaking to clients, writing out quotes. I volunteer for Renew as well, the Sydney chapter. So I've got a bit of a real variety. I'm really lucky. So I couldn't really say that one thing is absolutely, like, I don't just sit in front of my computer all day, I guess. I'm a little bit all over the place, which I love, because I really like talking to clients and sort of engaging.
It's a good mix, isn't it? Particularly, I think we noticed during COVID that when you work, if you can have that connection with people outside the office, that really helps you sort of when you're in the office as well. You're based in Sydney, so do you travel far around Sydney, or have you found a sort of enough in your local area to keep you busy with new builds and existing builds and that type of thing?
So I do the online assessments across Australia. So I could be doing a project in Melbourne or Brisbane or Sydney, wherever, Adelaide. But our in-home assessments are obviously typically within Sydney. We've been doing some for the New South Wales government as a part of pilot projects. We've been going down to Southern Highlands, and I've done
fantastic.
13 assessments down there. So it's beautiful down there.
My mum lives down there. There's a lot of builds happening, a lot of expansion.
So these are all existings, and I guess the government's just trying to get a handle on where existing houses are sitting, and then what can we do to improve them. And scorecard's one of those things that's going to fit into that moving forward. We need to be able to get baselines on existing houses. So
fantastic. So we've highlighted a few things, but what's the best thing about working as an energy efficiency assessor for you?
I like helping the client sort of solve their it's kind of like a puzzle. So each client has their own goals, sustainability goals, and then they also might have architectural goals. They might have budget limitations. So you've got to try and put a mix together for that particular client that's going to meet their needs. So really just sort of working through that process. I like, working with them to get what they want, and everybody has, varying things that they need. So
I think at the end of the day, that there's a good relationship built as well between the client and the client and the vendor, and that's one of the rewarding things about working in your own business, is that you've had that good experience. Everybody walks away happy. You get good referral, word of mouth, that type of thing as well.
And like you say, when you get an email from somebody saying, "Oh, that was fantastic working through. We're really excited about our new home now because we've achieved all these goals." So I love it.
Fantastic. So if you could give someone who was thinking about becoming an others or energy efficiency assessor, residential scorecard assessor, 3 tips before they embark on their study, what would they be?
Yeah, get connected. So get early on in the piece while you're a student. Get on. You mentioned the Transform setup, the NATAS
Assessors Network. Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's a really unusual industry in that there's so many great assessors out there who are happy to share knowledge, which doesn't happen very often, you know, in any industry. So even as a student, you can ask a question on that Facebook page and you'll get 10 different answers, or, you know, people...
Yeah, there's no silly questions either. I've read some of them, and people are very open with sharing their knowledge, which is excellent and very helpful.
And even about starting up a business, or not necessarily just about energy efficiency, because a lot of the assessors are either sole traders or small business owners. So there's a wealth of knowledge, and I think there's 300 people involved in that Facebook page now, and that network, and it's awesome. You've got a huge amount of knowledge out there of people willing to share, which is unusual.
It's really at your fingertips too. It's so accessible.
Yeah, 100%. I'd jump on it. What's going on today?
Yeah.
Anyway, and join Design Matters National and ABSA as a student. It's not very expensive to join as a student, and start looking at some of their workshops that they offer, because they're really informative. Sort of start getting to know all those little extra bits and pieces sort of beyond the Cert 4. Start listening to podcasts, which are really good. Undercover Architects, awesome.
Love that one.
Melanie Lupis covers awesome topics, really good topics. Also Energy Efficiency Council, First Fuel, that's a good one, more commercial side, but interesting. And Builders Declare have podcasts and webinars and really good Instagram account with lots of really good info. Jeremy Spencer puts out some great little tips and tricks.
Oh, fantastic. I'll make sure I link all of those in the description below for this video, so everybody's got those resources. That's terrific. Oh,
one last one, get a copy of Your Home and start reading it. Your Home, or go to the website. It's free on the website, but it's not very expensive to buy a copy. Incredible resource.
Which website's that one?
yourhome.gov.au.
Okay, so perfect.
And that's it's put out by the federal government, but written by a whole heap of industry experts. So, yeah, great.
Fantastic.
Knowledge in there as well.
That's great. Well, Melanie, I hate to conclude this chat, but I'm sure you've got a busy day ahead. Thank you so much for spending the time with us today. This has been really excellent, and it's going to give so much to our current students and prospective students. So I thank you again, and hi to Kel as well, who helped organise this chat. Thank you so much. And
thanks,
I hope we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Have a great day. Bye.